Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is TU Football Update, brought to you by Brahms. Here's Jeremie Poplin.
Welcome into another Tulsa football pod here on Oklahoma's Own Sports. Thank you for tuning in as we continue to chronicle the 2025 version of the University of Tulsa Golden Hurricane, coming up short another time in a conference game against FAU, this time in Boca Raton. So thank you very much for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe button. If you haven't had an opportunity to check out everything that we've been doing on Oklahoma's Own Sports here on YouTube, you need to do so now. Oklahoma State, Thunder, University of Oklahoma, big one with them this weekend at Alabama, potential playoff spot on the line there. Make sure you go and check out all of the great work that we've been doing here on Oklahoma's Own Sports. And then, of course, on our websites, newson6.com and news9.com. Check out the layout and send any type of suggestions that you would like to see. Well, let's recap the Florida Atlantic game, shall we, with head coach Tre Lamb from his press conference earlier today at the University of Tulsa. Before we get to that, just a few things here, and forgive me, I'm going to look at my notes that I have. After the game, when we did the post-game press conference, and I'll play a little bit of it here for you as well. Frustration, obviously, from a situation in which, if you were to just take the statistics of that game, and I know, if anyone's watching, it doesn't really mean anything, but to have the number of yards that they did, to run the number of plays that they did, and to still come away with the limited amount of points that they have.
But we'll get it fixed, and that's my job to get it fixed.
But you did drive on the one drive. You went down, at least you got 3 out of that. You got some things out of AJ. You got some things out of Grayson. You found at least a few things, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, there's some positive for sure. Don't get me wrong. I'm just a little beat down right now, and it's going to take me a little bit to get over this one. And it hurts the head coach the worst. The players get over it quicker than I do. We got to get ready to go win one at home against P4 school next week. So I'm proud of our guys' fight. The execution's not there. Too many turnovers, too many mistakes, and it's just a few momentum plays. I know it sounds crazy, but that was a lot closer than what that score says.
You will hear Tre Lamb say today that the math is not mathing up. I think that's what he said, Coach. Well, you'll see it here in a bit anyway. But the math essentially doesn't add up. And I think that that's one thing, obviously, that you're trying to hold on to in terms of positivity, of taking the next step offensively and as a team. But as Tre Lamb told us in the postgame on the radio side, he's getting tired of having to say the same things over and over and over again. And I, for one, don't blame him at this point. It does seem to be a little bit of a broken record, and maybe there's an element of being snake bit, I think, going on right now within the program, such as, let's take the AJ fumble right before halftime or 2 minutes left on the clock. I mean, one, you look at that from several ways. One is, if that does not go that direction, the way that it went, you're beat down, 3 or 4 points, depending on what you want to do there with your extra point going into halftime. Instead, the fumble goes back the opposite direction, literally, and falls into the hands of one of the fastest guys on FAU's defense. And he houses it. Then another turnover, and you look up, and they've added 14 points in a 44-second span to completely blow that game open. And at that point, it's a game changer, complete game changer. You don't want to say that things are over there at halftime, but knowing what is in front of you and knowing how just things tend to happen that way, you have to question it. And I thought Tulsa did a great job of fighting, as they've done multiple times this year, to get back into a position in a game that looked like it was going to be over there at halftime. And it's just things like that just keep adding up over the course of the season. You don't need to hear that from me. Let's hear that from the head coach from the University of Tulsa. He's Tre Lamb, who met with the media today.
Just a lot of mistakes. I didn't coach good enough. I didn't have them prepared well enough. Got out coached in several areas. We didn't play well enough. We seem to be making critical mistakes at the wrong times. And honestly, it's been a hard 7 weeks. You lose 5 straight. It is a good conference, but it doesn't feel good on Sundays when you lose 5 straight and you got 2 off weeks stuck in there too. We hadn't felt a victory, it seems like, and month and a half or so. So yeah, it's been a challenge. We had a really good day yesterday. We had a team meeting and kind of recalibrated ourselves, and certainly not where we want to be. Not as good as I thought we'd be. We're not playing as well as I thought we would. We're not coaching as well as I thought we would. And it starts with me. I got to be better, and we will be. And you look at that game. We did a lot of nice things. You ran 100 plays on offense. We had more yards than them. Had almost twice as many first downs as them. You look at 430 yards of offense. You look at 99 plays, and it's just the math doesn't math. How do you run that many plays and you can't pop one run for a touchdown? You can't have one busted coverage, one guy fall down. Just it feels like everything's hard right now, and offensively and then defensively. Continue to give up big plays. Just one play we're not lined up, and we give up a 60-yard touchdown. One play our safety falls down, gives up a 50-yard touchdown. They popped a couple long runs, and we didn't tackle well. So got out-coached, got outplayed. Special teams continues to be a huge bright spot. Turnovers absolutely changed that football game. The fumble before the half changed the entire complexity of the entire game. And it seems like when we fumble, it bounces backwards and right into their arms. And when the other team fumbles, they somehow recover it or it bounces out of bounds. We're just not catching many breaks, and we're not a very good team right now. And bad teams don't get good calls. Bad teams don't get very many good breaks. And I'm hoping we get all this bad stuff out of our system and we can become a good team, because I do believe we can do that. I got hired in this position, job I've wanted my whole life, and there's nobody built for this like I am. I truly believe that. I told the team that yesterday. Anybody can coach when you're 7-2 and everything's going the way you thought it was. This is about to find out what kind of coaches we really are, what kind of leader I really am. And I'm built for it. And hard times make tough people. That's what I told our team yesterday. We're all disappointed. Nobody wanted to be where we're at. But if you have any ounce of competitiveness in you at all, and they're keeping score, I don't care what sport it is, you're going to go lay it on the line. And we're going to find out what our culture's like. I was very proud of the second half. That team last year would have quit. That game would have been 62-14. We came back, made it a 2-score game. I thought we dominated in the second half. If we don't have the fumble before the half, the game looks entirely different. And it happened. So it's part of life. We got to be better. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of culture we've created, what kind of character we've created. Our team is absolutely a pleasure to coach Monday through Friday. Saturdays we got to be better, and that's coaching, that's playing. They got to listen better. We got to coach better. We got to find ways to have better plans and not make dumb mistakes and fumbles and things such as that. We only had 4 penalties. We're playing with great discipline. We're not beating ourselves. It was a chirpy game, and I didn't think we retaliated at all, which was good to see. So there's a lot of positive. A.J. Allen had a big night. I thought our O-line was terrific. Baylor played okay. Still growing up in some areas, but we got to get better. And, the outside world tells us we're not really playing for anything at this point. But like I said, if you're a competitive person, you're playing for something, because we're keeping score. And you're playing for the name on the jersey. And Tulsa football's been around a long time. It'd be a shame we work 11 months to go out there and not give it everything we had these last 3 weeks. It is a culture versus culture rest of the schedule. You got 2 fired teams, 2 fired head coaches, and the United States Military Academy. So we're going to be challenged. I've challenged them, and I expect us to respond. Questions?
So was there anything that you saw in the 2 weeks that were off that made you think that you were going to take a step back on Saturday?
No. And statistically, I didn't think we took a step back. I really didn't. I mean, we moved the ball, had a lot of yards. We doubled them up in plays. I thought we were in better shape than them. But we're just doing dumb stuff. I mean, we're allowing free touchdowns on defense, which absolutely cannot happen. We're turning the football over and allowing the defense to score 99 yards. It just you can't win football games. When the competition's equal, you can't win football games like that. And we've got to get that fixed quickly. And, that's my job to do so. We have evaluated both off weeks. We came out particularly sloppy in the first quarter. You look at ECU, and Baylor was horrible. That was the wet ball catastrophe when I screamed at him for 30 minutes. But that was the first half of that game. And then the first half of this game, I thought, we were just okay. We on both sides and a little sloppy. So we're going to evaluate that in the offseason. Maybe doing a little too much in the off week. Maybe need to give them a little more time off. Probably pushing a little too hard there. And I think they weren't quite fresh mentally. Physically, I thought they were, but mentally, maybe too much game plan, too much new stuff, and we're not a an experienced older team to be able to handle some of that, and that's something that we've evaluated, and our GM brought it up, and Justin talked to me about it. Like next year, we got to come up with a better plan in the off week of potentially being fresher mentally. I think our guys looked like they were trying to do too much.
Zion Booker didn't play. Are you expecting him to play on Saturday?
I'm expecting him to. He's had a herniated disc, and I thought, he looked good in the off week when we practiced 3 times, and then he came in Sunday, and he couldn't hardly walk. I don't know if the rest over the weekend hurt him. I don't know what the deal was there, but really thought he'd play, and then met with the trainer Thursday and said it's probably best he not go. So he was on the injury report, and then I'm hoping he plays. We met yesterday. He said he was feeling better. We'll practice tomorrow and see if he can go. But we certainly need him. He's been a big play threat for us on third down.
Kellen Washington was listed on the report as out for the year. What went into that decision?
Tore his ACL. Practice Wednesday, unfortunately. Special teams drill, non-contact. Kind of twisted it funny, and tried to finish practice and got an MRI the next day, and he's got a torn ACL. So sucks for him.
You ended up, I guess, playing the same 6 offensive linemen for 104 plays. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what you expect now going forward, or was that just in the nature of how things were in that particular game?
I thought they were playing well, so we didn't want to sub them. Ideally, if you have 104 plays, you'd like to score some touchdowns. I mean, that's the whole problem here, right? I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. We don't have any touchdown scorers. I mean, you got Brody Foley, but he's a catch guy. I mean, he's not a catch and run guy. And it feels like every yard we're getting is hard. And we don't have that guy right now that can bust a game open. And you love Dom. You love AJ. You love Presley. You love the guys we got. You love Steptoe. Tempest played well. But, you look at those guys, you're like, all right, with the ball in their hand, who's the touchdown scorer? We got to identify that, and we got to go get it. And there's no way you run 104 plays and score 21 points. It's almost statistically impossible. You have to convert a lot of fourth downs, which we did. We only punted one time, one punt in the game. So it's just been a weird offensively for me. I've never experienced this. We've always had guys that could score. It's hard to put together 10, 15 play drives and score touchdowns. It's just hard not to mess it up, not to have a false start, a drop, a missed assignment. We gotta find some guys that can score touchdowns in these drives, because 104 yards and 21 points is a hard life to live. Now I know we had the fumble going in. There's another touchdown. That's 28. But still, just you're getting stalled out in the red zone. It's been the same thing all year. And that's what's frustrating for me. I got to be a better coach. I got to look at some things we can do better. But we need some guys that when the ball touches their hands, there's a little bit of a scare factor for the defense. I know we dropped a touchdown again. It's 3 weeks in a row we've dropped a touchdown, and they've all happened to happen in the back left corner of the end zone on a scramble drill. So, we just got to play better. But, we need some touchdown scores. We need some guys that can bust games open. And I like the way Ian Mays played. True freshman played 104 snaps. We rotated Duffel and Cam East at right tackle. Jaquan played his best game of his career. He graded out like number 2 tackle in the country on PFF this week. So excited for him to see him finish his career strong. Simon played hard. Thought we played one of our better games up front. And they broke profile. We thought they were going to play a bunch of man and load the box, and they played soft zone all day and kept it in front of them and said, see if their freshman quarterback can go 15 plays and beat us. And we weren't able to do it.
AJ looked like a guy who might be one of those touchdown scorers for you. Describe a little bit about his game in that game, and is that something that you expected from him all year?
Well, Dominic Richardson rolled his ankle early. Second play of the game, he got bottled up in there and twisted up. And he could go, but we felt like A.J. was fresher, and Dom looked slow coming off the ankle injury, so we rode A.J. most of the game. A.J., yeah, he's a touchdown. I mean, he can be that guy. I wouldn't say he's a long speed guy. He's got great short area quickness. He's a good solid back. He catches the ball well. Really, really impressed with the way he played. No question about it. And 80 yards total offense, 170 yards total offense. There's some big numbers for a running back. And he probably hadn't had the year he wanted, but he stuck with it. And he's a man of high character. And his name was called, and he was ready to go. I was impressed with that.
Mentioned back the offensive line for a second, because I noticed that Cam and some of those guys, when you switched them, guys would switch sides. The guys, and I know as an old offensive lineman, sometimes that's not easy. Is that something you guys have been working on? Is that just a skill set for a couple of those dudes?
They can do it, and Jaquan likes playing left. He's more comfortable there. He's left-handed. The other guys have been able to play both. It adds value to our O-line group. Those guys will continue to get better. We got to retain some of those guys and add a couple pieces this offseason. But I don't think that's been our biggest issue. Offensively, I think we need to find some guys who can score from far. You got a freshman quarterback. You got to help the freshman quarterback. You got to catch the ball. You got to throw a digger out to our best player, Brody Foley, and it hits off his face mask. That's uncharacteristic. That's not who he is. But it was that play. So, we're just doing some things that winning teams don't do. And I got to get that out of us. It's my job to do so, and I have no doubt about it that I'm the man to do that, and I'm prepared to do that.
What's the biggest challenge from a culture perspective closing out the season? You talked about the competitive nature of those guys, but from you and looking at them, how do you go about keeping them still involved at this point?
Yeah, I think it's easy. There hasn't been a whole lot of blaming, complaining, defending, pointing fingers at the other side of the ball, or, hey, you fumbled, you did this, you missed a block. We hadn't had a ton of that. We got to play cleaner, and a lot of games are lost before they're won. It's not been a penalty issue for us. It's not been a missed assignment, misalignment. It's been a lot of just the most inopportune times bad things happen. And we can't allow those things to affect us as much as they do. Another thing we got to look at, we got to run our own race, right? We can sit here and compare ourselves to other programs, other people. I'm worried about our locker room. I'm worried about us. We're going to get where we need to get to. It's not the pace I wish it was happening. I've been very adamant, bowl game first year, we're going to turn this thing around. This is not a rebuild, and I still don't feel that way. It hadn't gone the way we wanted, but what kind of character are you going to have? How are you going to show up to work, and how are you going to show up to practice? That we're about to find out what kind of coaches we got and what kind of head coach I am and what kind of players we got in that locker room, because we're running our race right now to try to get to the top of this conference, and it's going slower than I thought, and we're not as good as I thought. But we still got a fighting chance, and there's still a pulse. And we are going to do everything in our power to win these games, and it's going to start this weekend.
All right, before we wrap this up and get a little preview of Oregon State, let's hear from our great sponsors at Brahms.
It's time to enjoy the sweet taste of Brahms Strawberry Shortcake Sundae. Our creamy vanilla ice cream is nestled on top of Brahms fresh-baked golden bundt cakes, with spoonfuls of delicious strawberry topping all around, complete with fluffy whipped cream and a cherry, to create the perfect flavor combination. Strawberry goodness is waiting for you at Brahms.
I could go for a nice scoop right now of pistachio almond, by far my favorite flavor that Brahms has right now. Oregon State preview right now with Tre Lamb, and then we'll talk about kind of the expectations that was placed in the closing statements from Tre Lamb on this season and how he continued to hammer home that he's the right guy to get this one turned around. Early preview of Oregon State and what they present?
Yeah, solid on defense. They're big, fast, long. They've played well on defense all year statistically. They haven't given up a bunch of points. They've been poor at quarterback, poor on the offensive side of the ball, hadn't scored at a high enough rate. Really good running back, 1,000-yard rusher. Special teams has been abysmal for them. They've been one of the worst in the country all year long. and I'm hoping we can take advantage of that. They've had several punts blocked, kicked return for touchdown. You know, they lost last week, and Sam Houston returned a kick for a touchdown and blocked a kick for a touchdown. So they're losing games a lot like we are in the ways that you just couldn't make up. And it's just right now we're taking our lumps. And there's better days ahead. They probably feel the same way. They got an interim head coach who's doing a great job. You can tell they're playing a lot better, a lot more inspired. They're 2-3 since he's taken over and won a couple games. So it's going to be a challenge for sure. Early kick here. Really, you know, I know message to our fans and alumni, we're not where we want to be, no question about it, and I apologize for that. But we appreciate your support, and we'd appreciate it if you could show up and be there for our seniors and our guys these last few games. And asking for that. And, you know, right now we're not a great team, but I can get us over the hump, and I feel like close this year out with some positive momentum would be a big deal.
Coach, with Brody Foley's emergence early in the season, you know, might have been a little surprise to the defenses that you faced, but now are you sensing they're scheming against him? And then the question would be, how does he or how do you all adjust off of now they're focusing on him?
Yeah, 100%. He's getting a lot more coverage than he got earlier in the year. You know, Temple, I thought we did a nice job targeting this last week. I thought we could have done a better job. They changed profiles, though. We had a plan versus man coverage and bear and some things, and we didn't get a whole lot of that. And I'm not sure if they changed profiles out of the off week for the rest of the year, or if it was more, hey, they got a freshman quarterback. Let's not let him run around, you know, and create plays. And I don't know, but yeah, when teams break profile, I need to have a better plan to get Brody the ball. I think he only had 6 targets, 5 catches, and we'll have a plan this week for that. But yes, there's a lot more concern about him than there has been in the past.
And then, as you mentioned, when teams break profile and, you know, they're playing zone when they have it all year long or whatever they're doing that's different, does that cause a slow start sometimes when that as you readjust?
It does, but you should be able to get it fixed after a couple drives. And I thought we kind of settled in there and late in the second half started to move the ball at a higher rate, and I kind of got a feel for what they were doing and called some better plays. It's really hard on the freshman, on a young quarterback, because you've practiced this play, you know, probably 8 to 10 times, and it's been these 3 looks. And then all of a sudden, like the interception, it was completely different coverage on the backside than we've seen. So he adjusted better, and I adjusted better, and I thought we came out of the half and had some really good adjustments. So, yeah, it's that's coaching, right? I mean, that's coaching. That's why we got the X's and O's. The mental part of it is, and that's fun. I enjoy that stuff. I enjoy the X's and O's and try to be the guy with the pen last, and that's part of the game I really like.
All right, that'll do it for our first pod of the week. When we come back in the next episode, maybe a little preview on the basketball side with Eric Conkle. Looking forward to the Mayor's Cup, since it's the big rivalry game on the basketball schedule this year for TU. I mean, it's there every year. But Conkle changing it up a little bit. We find out that he actually went to ORU to practice a few days ahead of time to get some shots up there in the Mabee Center instead of doing it on game day. And also we'll hear some from some Tulsa football players in the next podcast as well. That'll do it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you so much to Brahms for helping make all of this happen. We'll see you next time here on TU Football Update.
Thank you for watching this Oklahoma Zone digital studio stream. Stay with News on 6 online and on television anytime for the latest news, weather, and sports.